Hello everyone, I am Laethas and welcome back again for another video. Today I have 5 new manga series from 2019, the last year of the 2010s, that you should look into reading. So this is just 5 series that started releasing, either had a volume 1 come out in 2019 or it was just a single volume that came out this year. And the rules for kind of how I selected this were, obviously it had to come out in the year. I have to have read the volume, so just because it came out, I may not have read it, so it's not going to be on the list. And I try to make sure I don't have the same type of series having multiple entries on the list, so if I have one action series, that's probably going to preclude another action series from being on the list, unless there's something else about it that puts it apart from the other one, so that it's not just an action series. Maybe it's an action comedy, or just something that makes it significantly different than that other series. But without further ado, let's get into this video for 5 new manga series that came out in 2019. To start off with, we have Shimaname Tasogare, or Our Dreams at Dusk, put out by 7 Seas Entertainment. Now, this is very much a drama series, kind of about identity and coming to terms with who you are as a person. Now, Volume 4, or the entire series, I should say, has come out this year. I recently picked up Volume 4. Unfortunately, I have not gotten around to reading the whole series, but just from this first volume, I absolutely loved this first volume. Cannot wait to see what the rest of the series has in store. And if you have not checked this one out, highly recommend doing so, especially if you are looking for more of a psychological drama type story with more heavy themes and that takes more of a serious tone to its storytelling. But Our Dreams at Dusk, or Shimaname Tasogare by Yuki Kamatani, is definitely a series I would recommend checking out. Next up, I have another short series. This one is a manga adaptation of an old literary work, that is H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, adapted by Go Tanabe. Now, Dark Horse has released this series in 2 omnibus volumes, and as the name would suggest, this is an adaptation of the original Lovecraft story. I believe it was a novella originally, At the Mountains of Madness. And if you are a fan of Lovecraft works, I have a high suspicion you will enjoy this manga adaptation of the work itself. It is very much a horror series in the sense of an individual experiencing something completely otherworldly or beyond them in its sort of scale, intensity, and just sheer awe of this incredible thing that he is witnessing. And there's a couple people in this story, but the way that Go Tanabe sort of weaves his way through this old Lovecraft story is quite good in my opinion. And if you are looking for a horror work in manga form, this is definitely one I would recommend picking up. Doesn't hurt to be the story of one of the greatest horror writers of all time, that being H.P. Lovecraft. But I have to say that I'm not usually a fan of horror series, but I absolutely loved this one right here. It was a page-turner for me. I read the whole series in one day. There's only 2 volumes. Dark Horse released both of them this year. Definitely check out H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, adapted by Go Tanabe. Very good horror series, and short as well. That is always a bonus. Next up, I have Kaiju Girl Caramelized. Now, this is a romantic comedy series, and it is about this little girl that when her emotions kind of run wild, or I guess she's not really little, she's more of a, I think, middle school or high school age. But whenever her emotions run wild, she turns into a giant kaiju Godzilla-like monster. And it's just about her experiences with love and the people that she likes and the people that she meets, both as herself and as this giant monster, and it is very funny. There are 2 volumes out in English currently. There's a 3rd or 4th volume out in Japan, but if you're looking for a romantic comedy series, absolutely love this series. It's so funny, and the quirky characters that are displayed in this series are just incredibly fun to watch. And so this is definitely a comedy series I would recommend checking out, especially if you're a big fan of romantic comedy series. And while I am not personally someone that knows a whole lot about like a bunch of kaiju stuff, I don't really delve into a lot of those types of stories. You will probably get more enjoyment out of this series if you are more aware of that. I am not, so I can't 100% say that for certainty, but it is an excellent romantic comedy series, and it's just fun to see her reactions, especially since whenever her emotions run wild, she gets very scared because she doesn't want to turn into a giant monster in the middle of everyone. But yes, that is Kaiju Girl Caramelized, an absolutely fantastic romantic comedy series. Next up, I have a Yuri series, and that is Beauty and the Beast Girl, which is a single volume series put out by 7 Seas, written and illustrated by Neji. Now, this is a series, obviously, about the beautiful girl who is blind and the Beast Girl who is a monster girl. And so it's about them coming to terms with each other, falling in love, one not necessarily knowing everything about the other, and the problems of one being, well, a monster, and the other is kind of high class, and so that also kind of causes some problems between the two. But the series is more so a serious romance between these two characters. There are some funny moments here and there, but predominantly it is about the drama between these two characters sort of falling in love and what that means for both of them and sort of the people around them as well. Now, this was originally, I believe, a Pixiv story, and this volume doesn't contain literally everything about these two characters, kind of, not really the mythos, but the story around them. There's some other chapters here and there that are related, but they're not a part of this volume, and I believe Manga Updates has this as an ongoing series. I'm not entirely sure about that. This one volume seems very self-contained, but I'm told that there are more bits and pieces of this series out there. I'm not sure if we will get those or not, but that is something to be aware of, that there is more to this series than is in this volume, but that doesn't mean that this volume doesn't feel complete or satisfactory. But if you are looking for a Yuri series or just a more drama-focused romance series, I would recommend checking out Beauty and the Beast Girl. And last up for this 5 new manga series from 2019 you should check out, I have Stravaganza, the Queen in the Iron Mask, put out by Udon Entertainment by Akihito Tomi. Now, this is a fun action series about, well, the Queen in the Iron Mask. And so when she's out in public, the Queen obviously has her face sort of obfuscated. People can't really see what her face looks like, and that's kind of who she is. There are a few people that know what the Queen looks like, but for the most part, most of the citizenry don't know really who the Queen is, so that can allow her to interact with the people without anyone finding out that she is in fact the Queen. But as for the series itself, it is very heavy on the action, or at least when it gets more into the latter parts. The first, because this is an omnibus volume, the first volume is pretty comedy focused. For a lot of it, there's some action here and there, but the first volume seems kind of sporadic. But in the second volume is where more of the story starts to come to the surface and sort of be more emphasized. But it is very action heavy for a good chunk of the series, and it's about her and her knights and the people that she surrounds herself with figuring out what to do, because there's a bit of a spoilery territory. Her kingdom gets attacked, stuff happens, and she's got to figure out what to do from that point on. But the quirky characters are definitely really fun. The Queen herself is a fun individual, especially when she's interacting with some of her subjects that are very close to her. Some of their interactions are very comical as well, and the series also looks very nice, and the action scenes are done quite well. As we can see right here, we have this giant monster just going around and squashing some lizard people, but that'll give you some idea as to the artwork and some of the action contained within the series. Yeah, the art, very solid, very good, and the action is done very well. I always know what is going on, and it's a very fun series to get into, very more of an adrenaline-packed series than some others. It's not really a thriller, adrenaline in that sense, but it's action-heavy, and it's fun to watch the Queen and her quirky sort of companions do all of the shenanigans that they get up to. But that is Stravaganza, the Queen in the Iron Mask. This is the first omnibus. There are 7 volumes in the series total, and this contains the first 2 volumes. But that is Stravaganza, the Queen in the Iron Mask. And that will do it for this 5 new manga series from 2019 that you should check out. Let me know your 5 series from the new year, the end of the decade, that you thought were the best or most sort of maybe overlooked, or series that you want to see more of, or just the series that you loved the most from that year. Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you agree with me on any of these, on all of them, or none of them? As always, I love reading those comments as well. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and share. And if you'd like to keep up to date with all of my content, you can hit that subscribe button or follow me on Twitter. There is a link to that in the description down below. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, leave those in the comment section as well. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I am Laethas. Goodbye.